Hello, everybody. Vin and Phil here for the inaugural Mets 55 podcast.
Hey,
Hey, we heard that the Jets 55 one was doing so well. We decided we were going to cross it over and rock and roll with our other favorite team, the New York Mets, right?
New York Mets, baby.
So here we are. It's the eve of opening day. It's play ball tomorrow. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
And it's showtime now. Last year we could talk forever about what happened, expectations, what they did to overachieve in the course of when it mattered, but when it mattered most, the fact that they didn't
Underachieved.
Yeah. So the takeaway is, going into this year, there were a few areas that we all know are kind of need a little bit of Buck magic. He's going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to see what they're going to do. Okay, he's got to manage a bunch of different pieces that he didn't really have last year. And the way I look at it is, we could start with, as you always do, the starting pitching. You got three guys. You got, Scherzer and Verlander. They're old. We know that. That's okay, though. If they're old, you got to manage them the right way, and let's see what they can give us. And then you got a new guy, Senga. So you have three question marks at the top of that rotation that, if he gets it right, they're going to be really, really scary. So, you got those three. Then you have Peterson, who did a great job winning the job, and then Carrasco, who's still there. So it's a formidable rotation, but I think it's really going to come down to, for the Mets, how well they preserve those arms on those older guys, because they're going to want to go. They're competitive dudes, both of them. They want to come in there and they make it $43 million each. So one of them wants to win more wins than the other guy, so they can get more money. No, just kidding. They're just really, they're winners. They both have rings, and we're fortunate to have them. But now you have to manage the rotation. What do you think?
Listen, Quintana, it's gotten tougher, because what happened is you had the five, and then you figured you had Peterson and McGill, and they're going to get their innings. They're going to get their games. I don't know what this thing with McGill with the base on balls. He said he's trying some new pitches. Listen, spring training is the time to try new pitches, whatever he's looking for. I hope that's it. But now, yeah, you're a little thin now. You got Peterson starting. You still got McGill, if you want to call him your six. It's getting a little thin.
He'll be down in the minor leagues, ready to come back with vengeance. So that's good. Let him tool around with that extra pitch for a while. And he was good last year, and I think he's going to be a winner. So you're right. So now you got Peterson, but he has to produce. And other than those first three, these two guys at the back end are critically important too. Carrasco has to do a better job, even though he had a good record. It was really not, against the aces, and so that's not fair to say. Win's a win, but I want to see him step up and again dominate. You got to get innings out of these dudes. You're right. Losing Quintana is bad. He was an innings eater. And Verlander and Scherzer, they're not gonna. Senga, he's used to pitching once every week. Every Thursday or whatever the hell it was. So you're right. Maybe they rotate McGill in at some point, but I think for the Mets, it's really going to come down to how it's well managed with Hefner and with him and with Buck.
Oh, listen, what happened with McGill, and what it becomes a big question mark if a guy gets hurt, or when you have those maybe double headers because of rain outs and stuff like that. Who's your number? The sixth guy, the seventh guy can come in, and now that's looking pretty thin, pretty weak.
It's crazy. Their first, I think, 7 games will not get rained out because they're inside, I think. Yeah. So they're good. They're going to get these guys rolling. So they're going to be, they'll have their chance to get the kinks out, to get it, worked out, so that you'll have a star like Verlander. He's going to go the home opener, that'll be his second start, you know? So, all right, you know, let's go. So they'll, before you know it, it's gonna be game on and it's all business with them this year. I don't think that Pete, those guys, we could get to that in a minute, but the reality is, to me, without that pitching, it's gonna be problematic. But I think they're gonna get good pitching. I really do. I think Scherzer is really upset that he didn't give enough innings last year, and I think he's going to come back with a vengeance, and I think that'll push Verlander to do the same. And
Well,
say that, hey, if he does less innings, but he's as crazy as it looks like he's going to be, that's going to be fantastic, you know. So it's a lot of good things there, looking really
looks like,
good.
yeah, looks like he's adapting well. You got right now, you got probably one of the top 5 starters
You do.
rotation in the league.
You
But
do in the game. You're right. How could you not say Scherzer and Verlander?
you know, oh my God, right here, tweak this, that, the other thing. You know, this
Oblique shit. Yeah, no good. Yeah, right.
how does that stop from happening? You know, maybe he learns from Verlander because Verlander really keeps himself in good shape, and he wants that. He wants to reach that plateau for those 300 wins and everything. He wants to get there and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's gonna take a little bit of luck. Very quickly, it's amazing how quickly a starting rotation can thin out. But and after that, the funny thing is, if you want to talk about the starting lineup, it's just
Well, before we do that, the thing that's important, what you just brought up about the starters, is that they're not, because they're a little older, you can't really count on them going deep into the games. So you're right. We start talking about the other parts of the you know, of the team in the bullpen. My gosh, you know, they lost Diaz. We all know that, right? But hey, if you bridge the gap, there's 5 or 6 guys, like even Drew Smith, all these dudes from last year that are gone. Well, they kept the ones that they wanted, and they brought a few others in, and they got Ottavino back. I think you're going to see where, if it's stretched out enough so that you get to Robinson at the end, and if he's the guy, if he's the actual closer, you're going to find out fast. But he blew a bunch of saves last year with Philadelphia. You know,
yeah.
he can do it, but he's blown a bunch too. So it's a little dicey, but that's life. You know, what are you supposed to do? You can't, you know, you don't have that luxury anymore. He's gone, the other guy. So, which was
Listen, Diaz celebrating, jumping up and down. I mean, listen, it was a freak thing. I know people are analyzing it to death, and should they have this, you know, this baseball tournament, this world baseball tournament, and
yeah,
every
World
year.
Baseball. It was fabulous though. I did watch it and I liked it.
It was exciting. It was exciting,
Yeah.
man, you know?
Yeah, it was. And it's a shame that, you know, and also Altuve, you know, same thing. He's a big star. He's out, you know, so
Yeah.
it just happens. And I just don't know if it's the right time of year, but I don't know how else you could do it. You know, what are you going to do in the middle of the season? Nobody's going to play, you know. But, you know, it's got to be this time of year or just after the season. But then you're playing in November. Where are you going to play, you know? So, but
Listen, like I said, it's once every 4 years. I think it's not gonna go away. It was dumb luck. Maybe celebrations changed a little bit. Who the heck knows, you know?
yep.
But that was a big loss. Me personally, again,
They got guys like Tommy Hunter, you know, that guy, he'll pick up for that other guy they let go, that used to give you the innings.
Lugo.
What?
No, so no, Lugo, Trevor Williams.
Trevor Williams, right. Lugo, that's a loss, but the guy wants to be a starter. What are you going to do? But they have guys like, I don't know much about him, Curtis, Dennis Santana. Who's the other guy? Nogasek. I know this guy, Brooks Raley, is supposed to have been good. He's a lefty, and I think he was a good closer a few years ago. So between him and Robinson, that's what you're looking to do. But, you know, remember we were talking before in Jets 55 with the judge and the jury, right? We keep kidding around about that. And the goal for the Jets 55, which Mets 55 is going to do also, is we want to hold, you know, some stories to a higher level of
Judgment.
of judgment. No, of accuracy, of not just blowing your own horn. Okay. And I did read something that I think is going to happen. I think this guy got it right. Pat Ragazzo, right? He's from the Sports Illustrated, MLB Inside the Mets, right? So he's the Met guy, the Met insider. And he goes that he thinks before long they'll get through the first half of the season, and then they'll cut a deal and go after Bednar at the Pirates as the closer. Because if they go and get him in a trade, and they don't have to mortgage too much, that's what I wanted to ask you. We could talk about. Got some really good guys down there, like well, Beatty's not going anywhere. Alvarez isn't going anywhere, but I think Mauricio might go. So a guy like Mauricio might be who they move for somebody like a Bednar if they need extra help for a closer at that point. But it's for Robinson to prove it's his job. It's for Brooks Raley to prove it's his job. And, Adam Ottavino did a good job last year, so he could step up too. So, and what do you think about that? I mean, I think that's something that you're going to see.
I agree with you 100%.
I give him a thumbs up as the judge, that guy. So it was, what did he put it as? An MLB insider. Right. He was just talking about Bednar Pirates in a trade. How much is it going to cost, really? So.
By the way, this isn't my Jets mug with a blue piece of tape that says Mets. You can't even read it.
That's true. I see it. It's invisible ink, So
when you went to take your break for a minute, I ordered my Mets mug. I get it Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I actually have one. I didn't bring it to the screen like an idiot. Oh well. But anyway.
I inked mine in. No, I think he's pretty accurate to probably what's going to happen. But then you never know. What if Robinson maybe he turns out to be, you might get lucky. Lights out. Ottavino, I'm a fan of his. He fights at every batter. He really tries it. He gives it everything he has. So, but you know what? You cross your fingers if Robinson can really be once what he was when he was really consistently did a good job.
The World Series last year. I mean, it's like these guys, they know the big moment, no big deal, but you've got to be able to figure it out. And that's, again, comes down to Buck. He's got to, utilize the early innings. You have to get 5 innings out of your starter, 6 innings. And then you got 2-3 guys. Drew Smith, he had a good year last year. I think that guy might develop into something. But somebody's got to surprise you. Somebody's got to step up. Like, who's this? These guys I never heard of. I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I never heard of, what is it? Nogasek. I never heard of the guy, Stephen Nogasek, But Robinson, Brooks Raley, Smith, Santana, Tommy Hunter, and John Curtis, right? So all of those guys are going to get a chance because of the void that Diaz left. And you're doing it on a team that has deep projection this year. It's not about winning 101 games. Like it's the same old adage, just win one more than the second place team. It doesn't matter, and you win the division. So
the big concern is that these guys, you need innings. Obviously, everybody has the same situation. You need innings from your starters. More of the reason of not having Diaz, not that these guys are going to be like a committee type of thing, Robinson leading the way. If you're not getting the innings from your starters, and then these middle reliever guys are kind of being utilized again too much, which happened a lot last year. And then you start getting those tweaks and things. That's what it comes down to for the Mets.
We'll have a sore elbow or something, and then
it comes down to
Taylor is up there in a second, McGill, and
it all comes down to how many
happen,
Right. We all know what's going to happen. This all comes down to how many injuries they're going to get. These guys are going to learn a lot about them. I'm not going to sit here like yourself, say I'm an expert on all these guys. I know all of them, but you know what? This is more like a fun podcast.
What I like, Vinny, though, is this guy Quintana should be back at least. They're not going to be without him the whole year. They lost Diaz the whole year, but he will come back. And if they come back in halfway through the season and they're in good shape, and they bring that guy back as a starter, and then they bring back another closer in maybe a Bednar, that then takes them into a different level, because now you have 6 pitchers, and then, not even counting on McGill. So, you got to see what's going to happen. Peterson's a wild card. You guys got to do the job, but.
Well, both of you and I are fans of Peterson. He's another guy, every year seems to get a little bit better. Sometimes he was derailed a little bit by injuries. But when he comes out there, he's another guy. He just keeps fighting, pitching, battles. And I'm looking for that guy to really come in, do well, get him some wins and everything. And hopefully again, we don't need these relievers being just totally wiped out, one out like 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the season.
No, you gotta,
You know,
yeah.
So we
Match.
gotta
But the other side of the coin is like you started to say before, and I want you to tell me what you think about that. The lineup this year's got to do more. They can't. They scored a lot of runs. They really did. But I want to see them. We all know, and we could talk about the rule changes and really old school ball can really help the Mets, man. They really can do some good things, move the runners up. They don't have to sit back and wait for the big blast. But I think that if you score more runs and you wear other pitchers out, by default, your pitchers are going to last longer, and you're gonna be in a better spot. You're gonna get to the pen faster. But they gotta be more aggressive. You tell me, because I think the top of that order with Nimmo and Marte, they both have to steal a bunch of bases. Even Lindor. The three of those guys should steal 20, 30 bases each almost.
It happens.
They could.
And here's my thing. First of all, let's get the garbage out of the way. I don't want to say garbage, but I'm not a mean person. But Ruff is gone. Terrible acquisition. JD Davis, not the greatest player in the world, but really they
Come on now, man. That's a mistake. That's gonna haunt
a
them.
huge
Yeah.
mistake. Okay, so
He's gonna be a good player, and but
so what we do is we had 101 wins with now we got the same lineup. Catcher is more improved. Definitely the catching side. We're not. Oh well, we're great, but Needle fan.
still guy Narvaez looks good too. He's
definitely better than anything McCann ever gave us. So bottom line with the lineup, the catching is improved. After that, it's all the same. Here's my thing. I don't want to hear everybody loves Nimmo. I love Nimmo. The kid, the young man loves baseball. Love to hear him talk. Always smiling.
yeah, he's all in with the Mets too.
He needs to get on base and steal bases and attempt to steal bases. Marte too, because when you steal bases, you're throwing the pitcher off. He has to think about more things, especially now with the clock and all this other thing. There's going to be a lot more stolen base attempts, a lot more stolen bases, obviously. But Nimmo, I don't want to hear this thing. I'm glad it came back pretty quick. We thought maybe he was seriously hurt.
That was scary. Yeah.
Just not a slide. You slide or you don't. I mean, how many years does it take you to figure this out? The bases are lower. It should be less dangerous. For the love of whatever, please. You're making all this money. You're a leadoff hitter. Steal some bases, man. Make that have to think.
And guess what? For people that don't know
that's all.
The thing is, some people out there might not really know what it means, but if you're like you just said, a guy that has some wheels, right, and has some good instincts, you take a nice lead, the pitcher throws over once, right? And then if he steps off to rub the ball or do something else, you're free to go now. It's like he cannot disengage a third time without going over. And if he doesn't get you out, you get second base. So if you do this and you're screwing him up there and you're in his head, you're going to end up either balked over the second or you're going to get the steal,
Well, that's more of a reason that really with the rules, these pitchers are going to have a tough time. Obviously, everybody will adapt and get used to it. But no matter what the rules are, come on, man. When I have to, my life, I'm so happy with doing this podcast, but like everybody's life, we're always busy doing things. I wasn't able to watch as many Mets games that I liked. And I'm watching a game in September and Nimmo steals a base. And I'm like, hey, he stole a base. Oh, first stolen base of the season. I lost it. I lost it.
Want to hurt his chances of a long-term deal, and that's fine. But now
you got your deal. Steal bases, man. Because I will tell you, one of the most exciting teams, and for the young Mets fans, I know you know of the team, but I'm not saying they were one of the most exciting teams because they were the Mets, but the 86 Mets were a phenomenal team. probably the most exciting team I ever watched in any kind of sport. But what
Yeah.
you had was every game, it was Lenny Dykstra and Backman
Yep. And then Hernandez. Yeah.
starting off.
Right.
And it would drive pitchers crazy. You got Lenny Dykstra who could steal, you got Backman who would steal.
Yeah.
And then when they
And
were
the
on,
Keith would go the other way and knock 2 runs in. Before you know it, you
so
got
you know,
two up in the first inning, you know?
and then they had to face that pitching staff. But then when it wasn't Lenny Dykstra and it wasn't Backman, who was it? It was Mookie Wilson and Tuffle.
Yeah.
And Tuffle had decent wheels. So
Strawberry had wheels. He could steal too.
Yeah, but
Howard Johnson was a 30-30 man. Remember?
absolutely.
That guy. But you know,
So looking at the first two guys, you can wreak so much havoc, you know, and not the first time you come to bat, every time you come to bat, you can wreak so much havoc. And if you're just going to stand there, Marte has to be a little bit smarter too. In the beginning, he was getting caught too many times. He has to figure that out.
yeah, but the advantage is now to him because if you are off the bag and you're the pitcher, you're going to think about it. What's happening while you're thinking? The clock is going. You're going to run it, ball one. See? You're going to think about it. You're going to throw over. Okay, so now you gave a ball up and you threw over there once and nothing's changed. He's in your head, right? So now it's the second shot. Are you going to throw over there? You want to save it. You go to the plate, he steals second. He could do, you know what I mean? It's like if you're aggressive, and you're going to also see when there's first and third, right? You're going to have guys on first, you know, after you get him to throw over once, you go halfway down. It's like going to be like Little League. Are they going to break for home before you get it? You know, so he's just going to walk to second base, and then you have second and third. It's designed now with the bigger base, right? It's a little bit bigger, right? And the clock has to make things, and you better be ready as a hitter too. You don't want to lose a game. It's just already happened. Strike three, bases loaded, 2 outs, you lose because you weren't looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds left. You got to be ready. So, but the dynamic about making the adjustments everybody will get is one thing, but the reality now that if you got some wheels, it's completely in your advantage now. You could take that lead and you're either going to screw him up so he takes too much time and gets hit with a ball, or he throws it over. He throws it over twice, you're off to the races now, because if he throws it the third time, he's got to tag you out, or you just waltz the second.
You just get over that. No, absolutely. I just want to see. I want to see it happening. I want to see the aggressive part of it, though, working the rules. But even beyond working the rules, they got the speed, you got the skill, you get on base, get it done. Get yourself to second base a good portion of the time.
You all saw the Vogelbach Buck commercial. Now that the bases are bigger, am I going to do it? I'm going to get that steal. You know, you saw the commercial. So
that's another thing. You feel like with Showalter, who's so great with the rules, they're going to get taught well as any team. But let me ask you this, going for a second back to the pitches. What's the saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? How do you think Verlander and Scherzer have been doing? It's a small little portion of it, a little bit. It's not a big.
Well, I think Scherzer's done better than Verlander so far. And I think Scherzer wants to throw BBs and go deep into the first game tomorrow. I think he's chomping at the bit, but he's going against this superstar. I forgot Miami. What's his name? You know his name. Forget it, you know. So he's got a tough job, you know. So what's going to happen, you know? So are they going to go where it's going to end up in the bullpen again? That's the problem, you know. So I don't know, you know. I think he's going to be okay. I think Verlander will be okay, but they're definitely dialed in. I think the Steve Cohen connection, your buddy now, right now, I think that little connection means a lot to these guys because they wouldn't be here. It's like the way Woody Johnson is not to the Jets, Steve Cohen is to the Mets. You know what I mean? So
we're all agreed on that. By the way, I don't want all of you fans to be jealous out there, but a couple of weeks ago there was a Queens function, community function, and then Steve Cohen was there, and I was introduced, and he literally stared up at me like I was a freak.
Who the heck is this guy? Yeah.
He looked up at me and like he's kind of like, and he kind of nodded, said in a very low voice, "Hello." And I'm like, "Oh, so great to meet you. You know, thank you for purchasing the team." And he nodded, and the whole time he's just staring at me like,
Like, go away, sir. Yeah. Well,
I know I'm 6'4", and I was like taller than him, and he's not a big guy at all, but it's not like I was some 7.5 foot behemoth, but it was pretty funny. So I wasn't able to have much of a conversation. I planned on having a long conversation with him, and that did not happen.
that didn't happen. I know.
It
There's
was
no
great.
cigar and scotch drinking and hanging out and chatting
You know,
about the Mets.
he
And,
didn't ask me to join him in his limo. You know, gee hell,
but the
can't
thing
believe
about this guy is he's a fan. Like he's our age pretty much, and he's into the Mets the way we are. So he knows the history. We know about Tom Seaver. We know all of that. You just talked about the '86 Mets, but the now Mets are about Pete, McNeil, right? Lindor, Nimmo, right? Marte's going to be there another 3 years, this year and 2 more. He'll be there. Canna, and Escobar are gone after this year. Free agents gone. You're going to have Beatty and maybe Vientos in left field, or maybe you get somebody else, So this team is starting to become more with their own guys. And a Verlander and a Scherzer, a couple of years from now, they're going to be replaced with these younger dudes that are coming up that we don't even know who they are yet. So I think you're right. Steve Cohen, he's like, okay, he's got a plan. He's really got a plan,
Oh no. Well, one thing that made him,
Alcantara, that's the guy from
one thing
my.
that made him, there you go, very
He's an
good.
animal. He's unbelievable. Oh my God. He'll kill you, He's so good, Oh my
Very
God.
good picture. But
Oh,
no, it
he
was
just
great
makes him
meeting.
look bad. So
No, it was a great meeting, Steve Cohen. But bottom line is, an owner, you might think it's over the top, but I don't want to hear this. I mean, forever, I know, oh, the Yankees payroll is only this. Yeah, forever the Yankees had the biggest payroll, or one of the biggest payroll for decades. So everybody has to stop whining about that. And again, he already says it's going to change when they strengthen the farm. But until that time, they want to
and you know
try
what?
to
Too
win the
bad.
series.
Too bad. If they win and he keeps raising the payroll until, like he says, they change the rules, too bad. What the he's paying the taxes on it, the penalties. What the heck,
Well,
And
somebody's getting that money, so
yeah,
stop,
they are getting it. The lesser teams love it. You heard that story, right?
yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. The teams with the less market and everything.
Right. So
They,
they say they love it because they said, well, you're doing to the big guys what everybody else does to us. So
right.
fine, they're good with it, but I
Plus,
don't
we're
care.
getting
I don't really care. Just let's go.
some beans. Yeah, let's get it done. But it's going to be, I think Mets fans, like Jets fans, always have that little feeling in the back. Can this be like a grind out year where well, so and so is doing a great year and they're busting through the division? We could be grinding for a wild card, and obviously, hopefully, not the way last year ended was. Oh my God, what the September to forget about? Everything was laid out for them.
Oh, you didn't have Marte the whole month. That would have made a difference,
Not really. Not really.
That's bad. Yeah.
You kept saying it, and that's another thing. Hitting a hand and losing that guy for that length of time. They had some really bad games against some really bad teams, but we had 101 wins with him. You easily, worst case, have 103, 104, and you win the division. No, nothing to talk about.
And even if it's 96 and it doesn't matter, and they win the division, I like what you said before. If this team is old school, they punchy, they steal bases, they move it around,
Oh,
hit and run. I think you're going to see more hit and run because it's less risk now because they're not going to want to throw over as often. So send the runner,
right.
get a bigger lead and go. Oh, okay, So it's going to open it up to some things we haven't seen, and it's all going to be more fun. That's the key. It's going to be exciting and fun. I can't wait. I think it's going to be great to see tomorrow. And you're right. I love the fact that Nimmo committed 8 years to this team. You have him and Lindor and McNeil with his 5 years, Senga with 5 years. The next 3 or 4 years, you know, you got to figure out what you're going to do with Pete next, you know. But you really, with Beatty, you're going to have a core there, and Alvarez, my God, coming up. If he bops 40 home runs and hits for average too, and anchors behind the home plate, that's an extra bat by virtue of the fact that he's just coming up. That isn't going to cost you anything.
Well, you know
So
what's great about being a Mets fan now with Steve Cohen? If this was years ago without him, and you talk about Pete Alonso, we'd all be like sweating, oh man, what's going to go down? It's pretty clear to me that Pete Alonso was the face of the Mets. And I have literally zero concerns that no matter what it takes, he's going to get a long-term deal with the Mets.
yeah,
It's going to happen. And
gotta
and, and with all those guys you named, you got a team for the next decade to set up to be really competitive every year and
Yeah.
have a shot, which is incredible. And again, injuries can change things. Talked about the 86 Mets. A lot of the starters got hurt in 87, never made it, came back in 88. Should have won, but they didn't. But that's always bittersweet pill.
yeah, you know, you beat the Dodgers 11 times out of 12, and then you lose the 5-game series. Come on, you know. Anyway,
But anyway, we always remember these bitter, horrible things.
but
But
that's why you play the games, man. You know. But I think it's going to be. You're right. Is Verlander, is Scherzer going to bring it? I think yeah. But how long are they going to? You got to conserve their arms, though. You know, because you need them at the end of the year too.
Scherzer pretty much lost steam. You know, he really did. Not that he wasn't fighting, but and again, he's as a big a competitor as you're going to get, but he definitely lost steam at the end.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But great to start this podcast. First
That's
podcast.
number one. Mets 55.
That's
Number
55.
one.
Little podcast with my boy Phil out there in California.
Yep.
We'll be doing some of that judge and jury too. We'll be reading some articles and fighting back because people write what they want to write and say and think they get no repercussions. We're going to give some repercussions out there.
Yep.
Excited, Philly. What do you think? We got this
I
thing
love
going.
it. I love it. You know, we got both. Okay, we're Jets 55 too. There, the secret's out. We know that, right? So we got both things to talk about, and it's going to get so exciting as we move into, you know, the season, April, May, June, and as you get closer for the other guys with what they're going to be doing, you know, on the gridiron. So it's going to be fun. So I think it's a good time to like our teams.
We started out as Jets 55, and that's of course we've been fans with the Jets for 55 plus years now.
1967 was the first year. And you're right, you know, it's now 7 seasons.
Can't change the number every time, but we've been a 55 plus years Mets fans since we were both 7 years old. And I think we might it might be Jets 55 Mets.
Jets 55 Mets, yeah, right.
That could be Jets 55 Mets. That could be our tagline, but we'll see how it works out. But we are Jets 55. We are now Mets 55, and
enjoy it. Always enjoy talking with you about good old Mets and Jets. But let's play ball. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. You know, and
all right, Philly boy.
I hope it's a big one.
What is our guy say? What does the polar bear say? Let's what is it? LF.
Let's the LFGM, you know. Let's something go Mets. Let's have Mets, you know, right? Yeah.
Let's fudgy go Mets.
We know tomorrow is opening day, and we could make predictions how many games you're gonna win, but I don't if they don't win north of 95, you know, I think it's gonna be tough because you got the Phillies and you got the Braves. I mean, that's a tough division. So, you know, but you play them less. Remember, we'll talk about this the next time. Everybody now plays everybody. So every team plays everybody, which means there's less within your division. So, you know, they'll figure that out, you know.
Which I kind of like. Okay, you gotta, you know, it changes it up a little bit, but I'm excited. And I'm looking forward. My Mets mug will be delivered.
Got it, yeah.
On Saturday.
We'll see how it goes when they get deeper into the summer, and maybe they play against some of the guys that used to be on the Mets, which we won't even go into anymore because we don't care. So let's
Absolutely. And I
go
know you have
Mets,
the
man.
background. Here's my little Shea Stadium,
There you go. There it is.
my little thingy. I always love Shea Stadium, man.
Oh my God, we went. I went so many times opening day with my father when I was a kid. See who was pitching. See who was pitching. And you and I went a couple. I think we went to one open. Did we go to an opening? I think we did. Yeah, a long
Yeah.
time ago. Had to be in the '80s. Middle '80s again. Hey, time's flying. But
Well, we'll leave it with this little story. I went to an opening day, had to be 15 years ago. We're at Shea Stadium. We're in the mezzanine, last row. Not all the way out in left field, between third base and left field. We're in the last row, and I have a wire fence behind me, and I had a heavy shirt on, and I had a big heavy sweater with a hood, and I might as well have been wearing no clothes. The wind went through me for 9 inches.
freezing to death. Yeah,
Rose. I've been to cold Jets games.
yeah.
I've Jets games that was -5 degrees, and I was
Yeah.
there for
With
9 hours,
with the heat things in the hands. Remember? Yeah.
and it was still not as cold as that Mets game. It was beyond freezing. And I got to tell you, Citi Field is a great stadium. There's some spots out there in left field. My daughter-in-law, I actually had to save her life one game. She was out there with a friend, and I went to the section I was behind home plate through with business, and I went to the section to visit them. No one was in the section except her and her friend, and I could spot them because they were blue by then. And I brought her back with me, and I want to say I snuck her in behind home plate, but we got her in, got her friend in, got hot cups of coffee, and they lived.
There you go. Live to come again another day. But
lived
yeah,
to
so
come.
I'm looking forward to it. This is number one. The format here, we don't know, but I don't think it'll be every 2 weeks. It'll be a little more. We'll talk about a couple games here and there. Maybe after a series, like they played 3 in Miami. Maybe we'll catch up that. You know what I mean? Like we'll figure it out. But we talk sports an awful lot, so we'll be out there for you guys, and
Absolutely.
looking forward to it. It'll be fun. So
Absolutely. All right, Philly
let's go
boy.
Mets, right? Yeah,
All right, let's go Mets. To a great year.
you got
All
it,
right,
man. Cool.
take care.
All right.